key positions when it comes to the Brits and the Irish Lions. I think 10 and 15 is the two most important
Okay, but
positions.
who will you play then?
I would go with different guys. I would go...
No, you only have to pick one.
There's obviously inexperienced guys. I mean,
Your 10.
I'm getting there.
So there's no other positions you worried about with the British?
How long is Ollie Lawrence out, boys?
Achilles.
Is Achilles, that's 12 years.
Okay.
12 months. Go Power Rangers, it's more fun time. Welcome back to your number one rugby podcast. It's episode 88 and you know, okay, Behind the Ruck is supported by Super Sport Bet, the one and only Super Sport Bet, and also Ticket Pro in the house, okay? One happy bodybuilder and Juan in the house, and next to me is the one and only
Roly Swiss roll.
Don't go there.
Caramel Swiss roll. Paige, let's go.
Yeah, it's been a while, we in one screen, eh?
Yeah,
Huh?
happy days.
But to the right, to the left, the one and only Gio Aplon in the house, eh?
Friend of the show, Ruckers.
It's showtime, yeah, friend of the show. You good? You look good.
Yeah, I've been through a couple of rough times. But
Why
Yeah, I had some surgery on the stomach.
Oh, yes.
Appendix and stuff. But yeah, I'm here, alive, and back. And happy to be back. 88, I made it.
88, yeah. And it's been a while. It's been
It's
3
been a while,
months.
but
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you too quickly because otherwise you guys are going to get carried away. Ruckers, episode 88, what can you expect? It's going to be very lekker. It's going to be exciting. We might even butt heads today, but we don't care because we will be discussing rugby. We will be discussing Six Nations, wrapping it up with our analyst, our show, friend of the show, Mr. Gio Aplon. We'll be discussing Springbok rugby alignment camp. Where is Springboks currently at? And then lastly, domestic fixtures. The Bulls are back. The Stormers are back. The Lions are back. So this will be an episode really with high rugby IQ. So get your Oros, press pause, get your cup of coffee, tell your wife and whoever is there next to you that this is the time for Behind the Ruck and this is no time for people to distract you. Let's go.
Yes, we cut it to the bone. Let's get straight up to Six Nations. This past weekend's results. It was Italy 17, Ireland 22. We got Wales 14, England 68. I'm not going to repeat that. France 35, Scotland 16. Oh, boys. What a Six Nations that was, eh? And we can start, and congratulations to the blood. Yeah, we gotta give credit where it's due, eh?
I quickly want to ask Gio, played your rugby in France.
Yep.
What
Yes.
is congratulations in French?
Yeah.
Felicity.
Yeah, felicitaire, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's
We will Google it
felicitation.
afterwards. Okay, Rakkers, check it out if it's a
Ik was te lang aan Hoostens. Stuff.
Since what incredible competition. If you look at the competition overall, okay, no Grand Slams this season, but the dominance of the Frenchies, eh? Unbelievable.
Incredible, the Frenchies. They just showed us they are ready to move on after the upset of the quarterfinal against the Springboks. England showed some glimpses. I'm not convinced yet. Like I always say with England, I'm not convinced yet. Wales, we don't know. I told Juan today, Scotland is like, you see a nice girl in the far, what do you call it? And then when you get closer, it's your sister. So it's almost like Scotland is like getting there and then you're like, but I saw her yesterday.
So it is in Afrikaans they say mooi van ver, but ver van mooi.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And the other team is Italy. Glimpses, but I just don't think Grootman rugby. I think they fall short on many occasions. He had some chances to win the game, but yeah, Gons is doing a great job. You must give recognition for that. But I think maybe a year or two, and then maybe they'll be.
They will get into it, yeah. But French rugby overall, and we spoke about it. Okay, the Irish rugby is different. The French rugby is different. The way they're just keeping the ball alive, and I mean even missing with Dupont as well. What have you seen? The type of rugby they've played and how they've been dominant in the Six Nations.
Again, a little bit of not history, but a little bit of in the background of French rugby. If you go back, they signed a broadcast deal with Canal Plus for twice the amount that URC is, twice what Super Rugby is, and I think 3 times more than the Premiership. And that money is divided. The LNR has divided that money in top 14 and in Pro League. So a lot of people get a lot of that money. A lot of their development takes place in the French under 20, French under 18, and in the Pro de Deux, and that's why they can get superstars to fill up that league to get the attraction of the top 14. But then they divided money into the Pro de, into their second competition. They also have an emphasis on promoting French players. I think you have to have an average of 18 French players in your 23 over the course of the tournament. So I think they invest in their money well. Canal Plus has moved away from soccer. So they totally went into rugby. So I think a lot of people see more rugby in France. There's a bigger appetite for rugby than for soccer. So I think that direction, investing the money in the right way, the way they are playing before we get to the way they are playing, I think they're really on the right path. If you look I look at a couple of stats. That whole backline played French under 20. Yes, it's either because they play Six Nations.
And they won the competition as well.
And they won the competition.
That's why,
so all of them, apart from Max Luca, who played this weekend, Luku, that plays this weekend, has played French under 20. Some of them come through the Pro de Deux, some of them play top 14. So I think their rugby is really healthy in that regard. They spend their money in the right areas. And then on to how they play. I mean, phenomenal. They changed the game to, I said the other day to the other guy, they play almost like flaky rugby. Like back home. You get the ball, you let the ball move. The quickest way to the try line is forward. They play in the space of 15 meters. They put pressure on you. They keep the ball alive.
But the dominance of the French pack as well. Because they the guys that's getting momentum as well, especially for those fast little backs.
And I mean, if you imagine you get up, you tackle un Antonio who's 140 kilograms. You get up, you tackle another guy who's 140. And their centers is over 100 kilograms. They just keep coming and coming in their channel, and then they got flair on the outside. As soon as you give the ball to their wingers, Damien Pinot and Louis, Biel Barry, as soon as they touch the ball with Thomas Ramos, it's crazy. So I think at the moment they are setting the trend. It's almost like soccer. Back then, rugby was a position-based game, but now it's intensity game. Like Liverpool is playing now, transition. They put an intensity on you and on you and on you, and at times you just can't handle it.
The depth as well, eh?
Look, for me that stands out probably is the part that he mentioned about the Pro de Deux, which I believe is one of the best competitions. Strongest competitions in the world. That is the most competitive rugby that you'll ever play. And that is the second tier of French rugby. The luxury that France or French rugby have to develop in that league. For me, is their secret to their success. 18-year-olds can play straight out of school, play pro rugby, and they play 18 minutes.
And there's internationals there as well, like Laws and the boys.
No, there's a lot of superstars. It's old All Blacks, old Springboks. In my team, I had the likes of Nick Abandon playing with me. You can see that IQ with the rest of the team. You had Isaiah Towiava playing for Bayonne at the stage. So the leagues are absolutely their strengths for me. And the ability to develop through the leagues, which I believe in South Africa will get there later, is a little bit of a weakness for us.
I think we lost the Currie Cup, and their premier competition is the top 14, and then they still have the Pro de Deux. All those games get televised. Like so, the French coach can put on a Friday, he can put on the TV, and he can see. And I think they play Thursday and Friday, and he can see the talent that's coming through. You can scout better. You look at the average salary they get is like 6,000-7,000 euros. I mean, that's what is in the South African range, 150,000, 160,000 rand.
Money.
Good money. If you compare that to our first division, if you compare it to our Currie Cup, there's a massive gap. Obviously, the currency, the difference in the currency. But I think the way they're investing and just the emphasis on getting French players through the system, making sure that there's an average of 18 or 17 French-born players or that comes through the formation, they are there. And
they're learning from the seniors as well.
And they're learning from the seniors.
Like international players that's there, Farrell and the boys. But even the coaches that comes in as well. I mean, Sean Edwards and experienced coaches, Floxel years as well. It makes a massive difference on the growth at junior levels till the senior team.
No.
Boys, but I want to go that main name you mentioned now, Sean Edwards. Don't we think that is their secret weapons? The fact that since he's left Wales, Welsh rugby has obviously diminished. Oh, big word. Damn.
Diminished?
Diminished. Welsh rugby has diminished. And France rugby's always had this flair, jouet. But now they are they are strong, dominant team that doesn't lose test matches.
And you put that together, French was always way, skillful players. Now they took, okay, where can they get the kicking game? South Africa, Floxel, yes, bring that in. Sean Edwards as well, defensively strong as well. So they've got all the three pillars in place and they've got the big forwards as well.
I think there was a lot of resistance back to get foreign coaches in. But I think after a while, after the disappointing 2015 World Cup, or what, I think 2011 they still played in the final. But I think the appetite of getting foreign coaches in there, but also foreign coaches that buys into the culture. And I think Fabien Galtier creates a good culture because he's got a little bit of a foreign mind. But if you think also at other coaches that struggle in France, Stuart Lancaster now, Michael Cheika. So there's also, you have to give into the French to understand, like, I think a mate of mine, Bernard Jackman, explained it well. Like, you need to give and take. Because the Frenchies, they play the French way. At times it looks ugly, but then at times it looks beautiful. And where we always wants to make sure that guy cleans in the wide ruck, it comes out nicely, 10 plays to this guy, and it looks nice. The French, they play and they try to get over the try line, whichever way they can, whether it's with flair, whether it's with brute force, they just want to get there.
It's scary, eh? It's scary to where the French is growing, obviously, first of all, and they're taking all the knowledge from the players and coaches, but also they're stealing from other teams as well. The 7-1 split, is that not us? Huh? Is that not Dr. Rassi's thing that they took? And this past weekend, it's a direct copy and paste. They bring out that 6 forwards at minute 45.
Yeah.
Who does that? We do it. Commentators say the bomb squad coming up. Please, overseas. Bomb squad is in South Africa. Just say the replacements coming up. But those type of techniques, I mean, it's so...
Yeah, I think that's where the Frenchies are good now. They're adapting. Back then when I was in France, I always used to think they're very clever. They don't want to learn from anyone. At times when you get too personal or too close or you challenge them too much, they will tell you, listen here, you came to France. We didn't want you here, you came to France. And I think they're adapting now. And again, credit to Galtier, creating that environment where Sean Edwards is there, Floxel is there. I think William Servat is there, who's been with Toulouse. And then also it helps that the bulk of your players are playing for Bordeaux and playing for Toulouse. But I think learning from the other teams, taking there, I think the kicking game they take the 7-1 split because they have that physical component now. I think South Africa, we used to use it for scrums to bring on that second force and for set piece. But I think they just bring it for the intensity. So once that 7 guys are off, there comes new fresh 7 guys and they keep their intensity on you. And you can see teams starting to crumble. And there's a belief that maybe in the quarterfinal, they overplayed a little bit against us. Imagine they had that right. They would have probably won the World Cup. And that was obviously the hurt that drove them. I think last year, just after the World Cup, they lost against the island and everybody thought like, listen, if the Frenchies were gone. But there was also a story going around that Galtier was deeply hurt by that. He was really, he went into the dark room, he was really hurt, and it actually affected the players a little bit. And then they got out of that, and now they are where they are. And they are
on some sort of level. Yeah. But they've got the New Zealanders coming up as well in a couple of weeks. What are you guys expecting there? Against New Zealand.
It all depends what team the Frenchies are taking down to New Zealand. Will Intermark and those boys stay in France? Will they send a younger development group like they did last year to Argentina? But they still beat Argentina in Argentina. So that for me is the big question. But the one thing that the Frenchies have that the All Blacks always struggle with is that big physical rugby that keeps you, that goes behind you. So look, it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting, yeah.
No Dupont, no Intermark maybe. Resting Antonio. He obviously got injured, but he's also been injured recently, especially for La Rochelle as well. Julian Marchand maybe resting from Toulouse. But the French rugby, I'm just really impressed with their depth, first of all, the quality of depth they had, the fact that Galtier can pick from the Pro de Deux, take a player from Pro de Deux, picks him in national team, and the guy fits international rugby like he can't miss a beat. So it's going to be interesting, and I think the All Blacks should be wary.
And I think that's where they are ahead of us or of anybody in the world. They've got two great competitions, and they still have the Champions Cup. Then they have international rugby, which they prioritize November tests and Six Nations. And then summer tours, they used to develop their players. They send youngsters there and they see who they can use for the next, who they can recommend for Toulouse. Maybe he's in Pro de Deux. So I think their holistic approach is quite good, and I think they're a little bit ahead of us. We normally the Frenchies was relying on Zoué, and they thought the rugby is simple. They actually a step ahead of us in terms of, and that broadcast deal I spoke about, that's for 8 years now. So for 8 years they're going to have that money available. For 8 years they're going to be quite strong. Under 18, under 20, they're going to have a pro that's going to be functioning. They're going to use summer tours to develop their players.
Sure.
At the moment, I just think they are the leaders in World Rugby. Take away the Six Nations that they won, just the way they're thinking, the way they are going. I think they are quite leading.
So you
us.
said now a step ahead of us. Obviously, you're talking about finance as
Yes.
well, but also in the terms of players playing together. If you look at Bordeaux and if you look at Toulouse, those are guys like 60% of the team comes from both teams. Where in South Africa, we've got guys in France, Japan, all these places. Is it something that's gonna limit us a bit or falling behind?
I think in future definitely, because if you think now, Sia, Eben, Kutsi, France, a lot of those guys played together at the Stormers when Damien was on. Then they moved overseas and then they moved to different units. But their junior rugby is almost like back into the Crusaders model. Like Richie Mwanga played next to Brendan Eno, played next to whoever that is. Their junior rugby is where they get this combination, that understanding. And then as soon as they get a chance, when they go to national level, when they go together, or the one is just a little bit later than the other one, it's then when you really see when they develop. So I think that might hurt us a bit, especially with the new breed, but hopefully our boys can do well in URC and then actually do well in Champions Cup, because that's actually where we can actually see, can these boys be consistently at the level of international rugby.
And boys,
Alele Bleu, huh?
we talk about Alele Bleu, Six Nations champions. We look at our mighty Springboks. Who's the biggest threat? Let's to the Springboks looking at
the
2020
moment.
At the moment,
At
but
2020
looking at the next World Cup. Will it be
2027.
Will it be the Ferns down in Auckland, or is it the boys from Paris Le Bleu?
Yeah.
For the Springboks.
For the Springboks.
Yeah, because the last time you did say New Zealand will be the best prepared team when it comes to the 2027 Rugby World Cup. But if you look at the boys now as well, especially the Frenchies.
I think the All Blacks, you can never write them off. They're going to play at home ground, basically. They're going to play where they play in their Super Rugby conditions. It's going to be an easy flight there, over there, 3-hour flight. They're going to be there. They're going to be used to the conditions. They're going to get more additions. Scott Robertson is going to get more time with his players together. I think the last time he said they had 10 days before they played England. Now they had a year. He understands who he wants to play. Super Rugby is now in a better condition.
Much better condition.
Brilliant
They're playing.
condition.
I mean, the Australians are coming to the party. So I think that is scary. That's a scary part. Yes, the Frenchies are now Six Nations. We'll see them. We'll see them in the summer tour, and then we'll see them at the end of the year again when we meet them. But I think between the two of them, there's not much to choose. But I think the All Blacks is always a threat.
So
You
we'll
can
be in the
never write off.
final against South Africa 2027.
Sure.
Are we making bold predictions here?
No.
A strong, bold prediction.
Yeah, it's still far away, but we have to look at it.
Both of them are hurting. The Frenchies has got the game now. The All Blacks is always unpredictable. I'm going to go south because the World Cup is always south. So I think I'm going to go with the All Blacks. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to back the South.
finals.
I'm going to back Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and the Argies for this one.
No, for me, I think the Frenchies is on her up.
Is it?
Yeah. So for me, I think they will be the outspenders.
Question for you: the away from home factor for the Frenchies, because they're good at home, and that's in the French culture. When you play Rudy, you play there. When you play French rugby at home,
That's
different
different.
I
animals.
understand that, yeah. But
How far is that? 22 hours away from home?
yeah. But
Different
they're
conditions.
building as well. And I mean, if you look at squad depth, how many the good 3 9s they have, and all the other players, the Ramos, all these boys are playing, will be on a certain standard. So when it comes to the whole tournament of 7 games, they will be on a very good stand. But also they're playing New Zealand now, going to New Zealand as well. They will play Australia in Australia somewhere during the time as well. So they will be prepared in some sort of way.
So let me say this before you go there, Rudy. They played All Blacks. The All Blacks played them and the Springboks played them at home, and they almost beat them.
Yes?
I mean, the All Blacks were unlucky, and the Springboks, okay, we beat them, but it could have gone anyway. But them away from home,
That's my thing.
that's still the big question.
2007 World Cup, they made the semi-final. Where? In France. Last year, if it wasn't for the Springboks, they would have probably made it through to the final. But in France. 2015, England. Obviously, 2011, they made it in New
Into the
Zealand.
final, away
Yes.
from home, same kind
Yeah,
of
but
down
they lost
under.
against Tonga. the Springboks
No,
lost
but they were in the final.
The Springboks got Bryce Lawrence.
What's the only reason for me why I am...
So what are you saying?
I'm
Because
gonna
we got
go
New Zealand, France.
I'm gonna go New Zealand.
I'm gonna. Yeah.
I think the fact that what I like about New Zealand rugby that they're getting back is they're getting bigger backline players back into their game.
Yeah.
They've
If you look at
always
Super
had
Rugby
a
now.
threat where they had big backs that could get in behind.
Just as fast.
Just as fast, just as skillful.
Yes.
And I can see that back in their rugby. And that for me is where New Zealand rugby is absolutely their best. New Zealand still has to find for me a 13.
Yes, they're busy doing that.
Yes, a 13. And
Not
then they
yet,
have to
Federico.
figure out their combination at the loose forward. Where do they play Ari? Do they play Ari 7 or 8?
Now that's some kids that they.
Wallace.
Now that Sam
Wallace-
Kane is out, Wallace Titi is injured, but where do you play Ari? That the balance of the loose
7.
forward. So that for me is crucial when it comes to the All Black rugby.
We've done a lot of discussions as well. But let's talk about Ireland as well, because we spoke about it. Is Ireland and up and down? And if you look at the world ranking, they went down to number 3rd as well. Where's the Irish rugby? Because they were our contenders, if you look at 6 months ago.
I think Irish rugby held on a little bit too long. I think they were hurting after the World Cup again, a quarterfinal exit. And after they were desperate to win the Six Nations and they kept onto those guys. Remember there's James Lowe is 33, but he's not, I mean, Conor Murray is done. Peter Mahoney
He's done.
is done. Johnny Sexton is done. I think Kian Healy or someone will also
He's
be,
done,
Kian
yeah.
Healy's
Yeah.
he's retired.
be done now. So I think they've got some rebuilding to do. You can see now they're looking for a 10. Is it Jack Crowley? Is it Sam Prendergast? At 9, Jameson Gibson Park, who's going to be the...
But
who's
how
gonna
old
be
is
the-
he? Yeah. Who's next?
Who's going to
up?
be the next?
Casey.
Who's going to be the? Casey's going to be the next 9. Are they going to find a proper prop? If Porter goes down or whatever happens, then Sheehan is there. But who's the second guy after him? And especially with Kalen Doros and those guys. So who's next? And I think they left it. Maybe they can still save it, but I think they left it a little bit too late. Where the French is actually. The good thing was losing against Ireland just in the Six Nations, and they started building. New Zealand actually started building right after the World Cup. We kind of held on, but we also have a plan B. So I just think the Irish held on a little bit too long, maybe a year too long, and that's what's the consequences of.
So you're saying the island is on the way down? Because if you look at it, if they beaten France, they would have been, back-to-back champions, Grand Slam winners as well, and they lost a couple. Like Mac Hansen, they lost. James Lowe, they lost in a few of those games.
My only thing I have parting is sport is a copycat world. And I feel like and believe like world rugby has figured out the way Ireland plays their rugby.
But there's also a subtle, but I don't know if it's what's the word doelbewus change, because the bulk of the Irish team is Leinster. Leinster is coached now by a very defense-minded coach.
Ja.
They were always high position, high intensity. Now they've Leinster, who's the feeding scheme of Ireland, but they're playing a different game, and those guys believe in Jack. Those guys who are there believe in Jack. So now suddenly they're at Leinster and they're like, this is the way we play. But now you get to Ireland and they're like, how are we playing? Taking also in mind, Farrell wasn't there. Andy Farrell was a massive influence, wasn't there. So I'm not gonna say they're on the down yet. I'm gonna say they're neutral, and it can either go down or it can either go up.
Yeah.
But more down than up by the trajectory they're going.
And the youngsters not coming through, so
That's the thing.
it looks like they're dipping a little bit.
The question for both of you that I've got that I can't figure out for myself, the fly-off competition.
Oh yeah.
Is it a good thing or is it hurting the team?
It's hurting the team for me. Because the thing is, who connects the team? It's the flyer.
Yep.
Who connects the forwards with the backs. And who did they have? One of the best flyers.
Johnny Sexton.
Yeah,
yes.
Johnny Sexton as well. How do you replace him? Okay, you've got to replace him with leadership, but it's going to take time for both of these guys, Crowley and Prendergast. Okay, but both of them are different. The one is a Johnny Sexton, but he can't kick properly when it comes to touch, when it comes to poles. That's Crowley as well. Prendergast, yes, he's got the skill, his YouTube skills with all these passes and stuff like that, but his defensive stuff is a bit lacking. And also in its pressure situations, and looking at France as well, it just disappeared and it just forced a lot of things. So for me, that's the area they should fix as soon as possible, get someone more solid in there, but they don't have it at the moment.
But if you say someone more solid, is it Is it Crowley or Prendergast, or is it someone else?
I think it's someone else.
But who's someone else? Because
But that's the question. That's the problem. Yeah.
But if you say it's someone else, but how long do you give Pendergrass and Crowley grace? Because it's only been 2 years since Sexton
Sexton's gone.
retired,
Yeah.
so they do need time also in
Under
the
the
saddle.
belt, yeah.
But that's what I'm struggling with. Do you go with a young buck and you say we're 2 years out from the World Cup? If we take Knox, we take it now. He learns, he develops, and once we get to Australia, he is 30
Exactly.
kept strong. But he started. But now it's like one game Crowley, Pendergrass.
And if you invest in him, you got to invest in him. You
gotta
need
invest in him.
35 East caps as well because he's 22 years old.
I don't know if you can remember back in the day when O'Gara was playing and Sexton started. When you looked at Sexton, you're like, this guy can't be a fly-off. He's skinny, his jerseys, he's quite too big. And you're like, are they really raving about this guy? That he's going to be the next biggest thing? And look what happened. So I think it's the same with Prendergast and with Jack Crowley. You just need to decide who you're going to back. And I like both of them. I think Prendergast is young, he's calm, he's a youngster. But Crowley also has a bit of
He's got a bit...
physicality. So I think, and again, we did the same thing when we had Mani, Pollard, and all these fly-offs. We make it a competition and say, this guy or that guy. Why can't you use both of them? And I don't recommend one guy start one game. I mean, in terms of you number 2 now, you get number 1, and then develop them together. Because now you might lose the one. Crowley might decide, listen, I'm going to Leicester. And then he's gone. I don't think he will go, but then he's gone, and then you only have Prendergast. So I think having 2 good fly-offs, keep them there together, and I think by this World Cup they'll 30 caps, and by the next one they probably come through.
You got those options, yeah. And it looks to me like they've chosen Prendergast. If you look at how many times you've played, even this past weekend, yes, Crowley played, but I mean Prendergast was injured with the knee at the moment.
But then again, is it now Simon Easterby? Or is it Ireland? Is it Simon Easterby? Because when Farrell was there, he picked Jack Crowley. So I don't know if there's also like, because no the boss, I'll show you. Or if that is the plan, because also going to the World Cup, you need if you want someone there to be really effective or whatever that might be, you need him to be close to 30 caps. So Jack Crowley's got a couple of caps, give Prendergast a couple of caps, and then going into the end of the year tour, or whenever they go June test, then you decide and go into the direction when Farrell's back.
Yeah, because Crowley was the man against us in South Africa, yeah, and he did the job.
He played brilliantly.
He was there, yeah.
Huh? You don't think?
He made the difference, yeah, I agree. Yeah, so it's a lot to think about. But let's talk about, looking at the British and Irish Lions, Scotland, England, Wales. Okay. They're all in a nutshell. Where are they? I mean, England was so close. And Wales, to winning the competition if France lost against Scotland as well. Because they feel like, we should have, And if you look at who won the Six Nations, France. And what will England say? Who did we beat? France. So it must be the Six Nations.
France lost against them.
I was just about to say, if you're a rugby lover and have a little bit of knowledge and watch that game, there was no way France should have lost that game.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why I am not convinced, and that's me personally, Gio Parry, about England yet. They obviously had a game now where they blew out Wales out of the park, unfortunately, and you got to have some sympathy with Wales. But they won against Scotland, where the Scotland also beat themselves.
Yeah. Van der Russell, the key to win it.
In the manner that they play, if you just watch the game, Scotland should have won that game. Exactly. And the same one with the French the game. Yeah, so I'm not convinced with the identity of England rugby. What are the brand? What have they decided on? We're gonna go with this brand of rugby to the next World Cup. I don't know what it is. I'm not convinced. Exactly. But I just feel sorry for Wales. There's something in my heart that it's not lekker to see.
1700 bounds is not nice to see, especially for...
And I think, like, going back to the earlier conversation with Swan Edwards, made a massive difference. And I think Wales' identity was built on, we always say the guy other side of the train sport. It was built on a tough guy. You look at Alan Wynne-Jones, you look at Justin Tipperidge, you look at Toby Falatau, and they were tough buggers. Jamie Roberts in the midfield, like Alex Cuthbert, they were tough boys. And it seems like everybody's moving to this nice and fancy game and throwing the ball around. And no one is effective. You see the last World Cup was won by South Africa, the Six Nations was won by France, who's direct and going over. And yes, we want to see expensive game. But I don't know if Wales has got the cattle to go back to that identity. But I think they in between a rock and a hard place where they want to play this way. They don't have the players. I don't know. I don't think they can go back to the old Welsh when Gatlin was here, because he tried, because they don't have those players. Because I think they're in between the middle, and it's really tough for them.
They had glimpses, especially with a couple of games. I mean, they put Ireland under a little bit of a pump, but the way they're playing, and you're right on that, and they're too deep. They're playing too deep, and they catch teams are catching them behind the advantage line.
They don't physically enough to handle.
And what will a tech coach say? Okay, about going wide, you got to earn the right to go wide. And at the moment, it doesn't feel like they're physical enough to get in behind them and to take the wide space, which makes it very tough for Wales at all.
Looking at, I'm probably going to reflect back to the time when I played at the Boks, when you're such a young core group of players. Individually, you guys are really good players, but you're inexperienced at that level. So if each guy make one error,
it's 15.
It's 15 errors
already.
And you understand?
Without feeling it.
And that is where I find Welsh rugby at. They have glimpses of real good moments. They've got the captain that plays really good rugby, but they have these errors that just hurts them so deeply in games.
And it's not, and they don't make it because they want to make errors. Like, everyone is trying. You're just trying a different way. The other guy's trying a different way. But the intention is there to try and win the game. But it doesn't get together. And that's where the error comes in. The next thing you know, it's 15 errors and you're 60 points behind.
How does Wales rugby turn this around, boys? 17 losses. 17, right?
17, yeah.
17 losses on the bounce. It's a rugby mad country. How do they turn this ship around?
Yeah, they have to turn it around quickly as well, because you don't want to see them going out of the Six Nations and stuff like that.
But what is the solution, Paddy?
For me personally, it's going to take years. You can't just get a new coach in and try and see things will happen. So it's going to be obviously more money, get more money into it, sign some senior players and get some people in there that can help them from, first of all, the coaching department and then the players as well. At least get 8 senior players or create a little bit of senior environment in there. And then the way of playing as well. It's a tough one, especially for any coach to come in and fix that.
I think probably the other thing is, and you never want to do this, but it's maybe reduce their 4 teams to 3 and get, like Australia is doing now. You can see the Super Rugby, it's much better. It's effective. Yes, you're taking some salaries away, and that's the sad part of it. But I think for effectiveness, if you have Cardiff, you have Scarlets, and you have Ospreys, and they got the best players there, then they can compete. But now you still have some players that's at the Dragons, and the Dragons is not that good at the moment. So I think maybe 3, less is more.
Less is more, yeah.
But I'm not sure if that is the answer, because there's a lot of factors like people's salaries, people's heritage, people's traditions, and the history of the club that goes with that.
And there was an interview as well asking the coach if he wants to stay on. And he said, yeah, he's not sure about
I'm
that.
not laughing because it's funny. I'm just...
I mean, they've got talks of maybe Michael Cheika taking over and helping that. Will that fix what they have at the moment? Because Cheika is very a straight and narrow guy, even though... Because you have to have the talent married up with the senior players and the culture to get success, isn't it?
Hey, look, I wish I knew. For me, it's probably the thing I would change for them is what it worked for South Africa when Dr. Rassi took over, is establishing an identity. We went defensive with kick pressure. So he created an identity first. So I think that is what Welsh rugby probably should do now.
And there used to be a team that is tough to play against, and that's what the Springboks started. They said, listen here, doesn't matter who we pick, whoever plays against it is going to be tough. We're going to make this so tough that if you win, you're going to deserve to win. And I think that's what the Welsh had. But then again, the kids of today, or the new generation, the Gen X rugby players, they're a bit different. They're not.
Soft under.
They're a little bit... No, I won't say that.
And we look at British and Irish Lions. Will we get any Wales players in the squad?
I think captain might
Jack Morgan. That 15 wasn't bad as well.
I think, was it Blair Murray? I think Blair Murray really tried, and he brought some excitement. But I'm not sure if Andy Farrell is gonna pick him ahead of what's his name, Hugo Keenan or Blair Keenan, who I thought was fantastic over the last couple of weeks.
It was excellent Saturday.
But I mean, that was the only good part about the Welsh.
Yeah, 19th of July, first game in Brisbane. let's talk about especially key positions when it comes to the British and Irish Lions, especially at 10. We kind of want to know who's going at 10 because they're looking a bit without a couple of senior guys there. And also at 15, who you guys think will take the 10
For the Lions.
For the Lions. Because you've got a couple of the boys.
The Lions first test is always about experience. If you look in the past, they always pick the guys that's been there, that they think might do the job. You look at 2013, I think, I'm not sure if that's the right year. Brian O'Driscoll, first 2 tests, and then the last test they decided to change. They always start off and say, listen, yeah, okay, I'm going to back this guy. So I think it's difficult to say. Blair Kinghorn is the guy in form, but 15. I mean, he knows Hugo Keenan.
Yeah,
he knows how Hugo Keenan plays. And at 10, I think Finn Russell. I like Finn Smith. I know what you're saying, but he's been there. He's played at the level. He understands that type of test. The first one, you go for the solid option.
You gotta be,
because the first one, you just need to win by 1 point, and then you 1 up. And then you're not there to
yeah, but for Finn Russell, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what you're going to get. Because Finn, for me, if you look at last weekend as well, a couple of those tries that France scored was because of Finn. That flip pass, throwing the ball into touch, even with Ben White as well. You can't make 4 tries and then give 4 tries, isn't it?
I hear you, but I also want to counter that. So Scotland, and where Finn plays, he constantly has to create.
Yes.
Because they're a team that plays backward, that doesn't get game line dominance on attack. So he needs to create magic moments within the game where he has to force certain stuff. And that's just the team and the depth in the squad that the Scotland team has. So for me, it will also be Finn Russell, and it will be an easy choice. An easy choice behind a dominant Lions pack. I'll pick Finn Russell.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's different because you want solidness when it comes to, especially the British and Irish Lions. It's a massive one. I mean, everyone is looking at Australia like, you know, they're not in a great place, but they're building as well. They're building as well. If you look at the autumn series as well, they're 2 out of 4, and even against Ireland was 3 points. It was a close game as well. It could have been 3 out of 4 and even 4 out of 4. So for me, I won't go with Finn Russell because there's no security. Okay, especially at 10, you can't give me 4 tries and take away 4 tries.
Who's your 10?
I would go with different guys. I would go.
You're 10.
Yes, there's obviously inexperienced guys. I mean,
you're 10.
I'm getting there. Okay, Pendergrass is inexperienced. All these boys are inexperienced. There's no senior players like a Sexton coming in. I would give a guy a go like Finn Smith. Finn Smith is unbelievable when it came to England as well.
I'm going to go Finn Russell. First test.
His defense, no 10 there, his defense strong as well. Finn Smith is making some big tackles. Finn Russell is very scared when it comes to even the high balls as well. So when you kick it back at him with 10 and 15 at the back, it's also 50-50. You need strong, comes to defensive stuff as well. Pendergrass is not physical as well, even though with the Zoe stuff. So for me, I would back Finn Smith. I would back maybe a Pendergrass as well. Just a little bit more solidness. Rather give me no errors, but give me 2 tries. Then 4 and 4 positives and 4 negatives.
But they can also crumble in the big match because Australia is not going to lie down. That's your other risk. Your other risk is you chuck them in there and they can crumble. Where if Finn Russell is on, he's on.
I understand that.
Australia has got a pace of defense. So he's going to have more time than in the Six Nations with ball in hand. So that for me.
But
that's my choice. I understand that. I respect your choice.
And if you have a youngster like Finn Smith, if you have a Jameson Gibson Park in the inside of him and a Bandi Aki maybe in the outside of him, it releases that stress a little bit.
But so what about Finn Russell? Is it Tuapoloto if he's ready?
Yes, he's not going to play.
Hopefully he's ready.
You don't think so?
Imagine
he's not going to play.
Imagine that 10 and 12.
And I mean, he hasn't played for Six Nations as well. What form is he in when he comes back as well?
No, yes, absolutely.
Not Bandi Aki.
Weet-Bix going? I think you go with both. You go with Tuapoloto and Bandi on tour. 100%.
Oh yeah, Ollie Lawrence also injured as well.
He's also injured, yeah.
But I like that, what's his name? Tom from Scotland as well.
Tom Jordan.
I like Tom Jordan, just the versatility he gives. He's physical, he can play 15. He's coached by Franco, so he's smart.
He'll be tough also.
Yeah. I'll take him with. I won't say I'll start him, but and see where he gets throughout the games, and hopefully he can get a test.
No, I like him a lot, ja.
Het was lekker. Ik heb het bekleren.
Ja, ons moet een beetje opstampen. Inbound toe. Let's look at our green and gold as well.
So there's no other positions you're worried about with the British and
I think 10 and 15 is the 2 most important positions.
Loose forwards?
If you look at all the loose forwards, I mean, there's guys...
I'm not taking Van der Vlier worth. That's me.
Doris is doing the job.
I will leave Van der Vlier. That will be my bold
because of his form.
Okay, but who will you play then?
I'll go with the Curries. I'll go with Doris at the back. Not both starting both, but I'll take both on tour.
The Curries.
Both Curries. That will be me.
I'm not convinced with the Curries. Maybe who's the
Not convinced as well.
who's
I would
the- who's
rather
the-
go
who's
with
the-
the...
who's the white-
Doris and
who's
I'll
the
go,
white side? Who's
I
the
will
white
go
side one?
Tight burn.
Tight
burn is
That's
a lot.
my.
You play tight
It's a
burn
I'll
lot.
play
Lucy.
at Lucy.
Yeah, I like
He's
I
slow.
like McCarthy and
He's a lock. Tyburn is a lock. He's too slow.
I like Otoji and Joe McCarthy at locks.
Yes.
Okay, but then you maybe can put tight burn there. Kalen Doris
at
and
7.
Yeah, but I'm not
Please,
a
no.
I would go, if I'm Andy Farrell, I'm going set piece rugby against Australia in Australia.
And who's 6?
6 will be one of the Curries, probably Tom.
Jack Morgan.
Jack Morgan, like you just said, first is not. He deserves, for me, a call-up.
deserves-
He deserves playing at
He
the
will be in the
Lions.
squad because we need a Wales player in the
You
squad.
can maar take Toby Falatau again.
I would go with Ben Earl. Ben Earl at 6.
I'm
Fast.
not
He can get
convinced.
to the ball.
But
as
listen,
well.
that Australian pack is massive, man. That 8-man, what's his name? With the big hair. I forgot his. I always forget his name.
Yeah, with the... Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Rob
Rob
Valentini.
Rob Valentini. Rob Valentini, the propped Tanila, Tupo. I mean, those boys can carry.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna. I won't say hang around with Ben Earls.
I'll play
Boys.
Ben Earl off the bench. I'll bring it on 25 minutes to
maybe
go.
can be the Quagga or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to be a tough one. Everyone thinks it's going to be a walk in the park when it comes to
Yes.
British. But
Selections and
massive
stuff, yes.
statement from my side. I think Australia will get a 2-1 when it comes to the British Irish Lions.
You think 2-1 win?
2-1 win. Just because what
Joe
I've
Smith
seen...
is smart.
Joe Smith is smart and they will play for him because he's only got the British and Irish Lions and even the Rugby Championship as well. But what they've shown in the autumn series, they lost, they won the 2 almost against Ireland as well. That's currently the number 2 at the States. What they're doing currently at Super Rugby is unbelievable. Reds is third under lock and the Brumbies and even the Waratahs is 3, 4, 5 under lock. And the players that's coming through, it's unbelievable. So I would say all the attention is our British and Irish Lions.
And their only weakness was set piece. And who's really going to scrum them? If you think the South Africans in Australia or New Zealanders can scrum them, but Port is not going to scrum them. Sheehan and those guys.
Listen,
so you're actually correct. They're in for a
Irish
chance.
form is nowhere. And you said English form, up and down. Scottish, you don't know what to expect with this girl standing in front of you. And Wales, nothing. So, I mean, I'm going to back and say there's going to be a couple of upsets. And I think Australia will edge it maybe with a 2-1 at the last game.
That.
And then maybe 1 or 2 games as well when it comes to Reds or Waratahs and them will also be upset. So I'm expecting an interesting...
So that's why it's important for Finn Russell to start the first test so they can get it.
No, then it's that's a 3-0 for Australia clean sweep.
So was the liquidation of the Rebels a savior for Australian rugby then?
I think so.
I think so.
I
And
think
it comes
less is
into
more.
it
Less
comes
is
into
more.
the Wales subject
them.
you spoke about. Less is more.
Because they don't have the player depth that we have. I think we should have more, like the Frenchies, because we've got ample of players. But I think in Australia, they should have less. Last question on the British and Irish Lions, 13
For who?
for British and Irish Lions.
Hugh Jones. I will go with Hugh Jones. In form at the moment, he scored 4 tries in a couple of games. I know Ringrose is the guy at the moment, but Ringrose, I like him, but when it comes to in form, he hasn't proved himself. A couple of games ago, they went with Bandi Aki and Henshaw as well. So when it comes to form, he hasn't shown anything yet. Hugh Jones, unbelievable
Tommy
so
Freeman?
far. Yes.
Tommy Freeman.
Not at 13. I will put him under in the wing. The wingers will be in and James Lowe.
Henry Slade or what's his
How,
young
how,
mate?
how long is Ollie Lawrence out, boys?
Achilles.
He's
Okay,
Achilles.
he's
That's
out.
12 years.
Okay.
12 months. 12 months almost. Career's almost over.
We take that, Ollie Lawrence, we take that back. We take that back. We take that back.
I mean, when it comes to July, man, it's going to be cracker. When it comes to all these type of games, British and Irish Lions, we'll have the New Zealand against France as well, all these type of things. But let's talk about, we don't want to look at people too far. Look in our own yard, this one. Green and gold against Italy, 2 tests against Italy, but also against Georgia as well. What have you seen when it comes to Italy against us, and where are we? Looking at where the boys are at?
I think Italy will be a proper position. The only question or only concern I have is like, are we gonna bloody new players? Because we're also 2 years out of the World Cup, and if you want to be, I won't say if you want to count players with those experienced players we have to get them to, we have to get Sasha to 30 caps. We have to get whoever we're gonna use. You have to get get him to 30 caps. So are we going to give caps now to Siamasuku and all those young boys? Or we're going to stick and say, for argument's sake, with Cameron Hanekom, who's really good, or we're going to stick with the guys we picked, Ben Jason Dixon, who's got 7 tests already, or the other guys. So I think that's only my main concern is I know Rassi's always got a plan. But just like we're on the border now of deciding, listen here, this is going to be the amount of players we're going to take to the World Cup to get him to 30 caps, or are we going to play around and hopefully no one gets injured, and by the time we get there, we play all our 34, 35, 33-year-old guys.
Injuries at the moment as well, because we spoke about it, Paige, you always speak about it. Why the Springboks are getting injured at the moment? Why are they getting injured and other boys on form? I know it's Italy. I don't know what you guys think of Italy when it comes to the Six Nations, and are they going to be a threat when it comes to this 3-week games? But where are we with our injuries at the moment? I mean, will Eben be back? If he's not back, do we have cover there? Will be effective? Because for me personally, Italy is in some type of form.
They can hurt you if you're not ready.
If you look at the centers as well, those two boys. I mean, Juan Breaks and Monticello.
From
Tommaso.
Treviso.
I was very scared to say that surname. I'm so happy you did it.
Menoncello, Tommaso Menoncello. And those two guys are... They remind me a little bit of Man Nonu and the Conrad Smith combination. It's very seldom you get guys that can work together as a center combination. Because a lot of the time, either 12 is good or the 13 is good, and they look like they're a great combination. But to feed off each other with this option 12, they're swapping in and out. Sometimes Breaks is at 12, but sometimes Menoncello is at 12. So there's a little bit of a threat there, but are they going to be good enough against the Springboks?
It depends on the set piece. I think you're going to start there. If they can't scrum and they can't stop them all, it's going to be a long day at Loftus or wherever they're going to play. But I think once it becomes open, and that's why it's important, are we going to pick a team that's going to be the predominant team, or are we going to give guys chances? And I think that's probably where...
Where should we be? Two years away from the World Cup, where should we be?
I think if we can function in that ideal world where we can leave certain senior players on the field with a mixture of youngsters. So maybe the spine of the team still having core starting Springboks, and then blood guys because I believe Coach will also understand that our average age group is a lot higher in the next World Cup than the past one. So also making sure that the boys don't play too much rugby in between the World Cups to keep their bodies fresh. Obviously, technology is advanced and boys can play for a lot longer. So it's just it's like making a nice blend of wine. Okay, it's finding that perfect cap safe that we have to make. I'm getting lost.
So
you're
saying we first 3 tests, take it easy with the youngsters, giving chances.
But you also don't want, and that's my thing. You also don't want to go to the Rugby Championship undercooked.
That's the thing, because
with the Eden Pass test looming.
How does Rassi value the Italy test? So for instance, the youngster comes in and he plays well. Is he really going to pick him for the Rugby Championship to start against New Zealand in New Zealand, that first test? That's obviously they know that answer. And then the next thing is there's also a bit of ego going around. Not ego, but there's a number 1 ranking that's there. And if the Springbok side wants to be the best Springbok side or best side ever, like the All Black side is currently
in between World Cups.
In between World Cups, you need to keep that number 1 ranking.
Because money comes
also on the other shoulder. That monkey's also on this shoulder, and the other monkeys we need to develop to get to. So I don't know which one is going to give in. Which one is going to get the chicken lick, in this one or the other one? So we'll see. We'll see throughout the year. We would like to see guys being rewarded for their form at URC, but it's also important to understand that there's a number 1 ranking.
For me personally, I would say there's a few tests you should look at this year. Okay, it's the 2 New Zealand ones.
Yes.
Okay, it's Eden Park and it's Wellington, and it's 2 at the end of the year. It's Ireland and it's France.
So now I'm asking you: do you want to win the? Do you want to go beat those teams firstly?
Yes,
which is what all of us want to do. Or do you want to see, can Shesha handle that? Can Cameron Hanekom be there? Shesha's a brilliant rugby player, but he hasn't played against the All Blacks yet. And I'm not knocking him that he can't. I think he will be able to handle. But those guys that you think we're going to meet these guys in the World Cup.
I would say keep respect with those 4, full strength.
But then what do you learn then?
But then give the youngsters opportunity when it comes to Italy and Australia and Argentina.
But then they haven't played big matches.
That's the thing.
But that is big matches. I mean, if they have 1 or 2
Italy
caps,
at home.
Argentina is a big match. Australia
Maybe there.
at home, it's a good learning. I mean,
No, for sure, it's a big test, but it's not the ultimate test. It's not like a World Cup
understand.
final, semi-final. If you look at the semi-finals we played now, France, the quarter France, the semi England, the final. That's the 4 teams you name now.
but those 4 games, it's all away games. And if you look at the next year, New Zealand
Then you need to test
the
them.
next when New Zealand come at home, then you test them against the Haka a couple of times. And those boys coming over for New Zealand test. You know what I'm saying?
But your World Cup is not going to be at home. So I want to see them perform overseas. Okay, debating now.
Yeah.
I want to see them perform overseas to see. Listen, yeah, it's a bit want. Does he have a bit of?
So you would say that
uncanny.
the New Zealand one is closer to Australia because the World Cup is in Australia.
Yes.
And I mean, New Zealand will be down under, then going to Europe. So you want
And
to
even in Europe, go there because you're going to meet the Frenchies. You're going to meet them away from home, whether it's at their home or where. The next World Cup is not at home. That's just what I'm thinking.
Okay, so let's take this one. Who do we think are getting blooded this year from the young boys? Who is going to be boys that will be starting more permanently throughout 2025?
That's a very
It's a
interesting
very interesting one.
Because last year,
my bold
11
one
out of 13.
My bold one that I think will be a more
Who's this?
prominent starter
That haven't started yet, or
that haven't started
Debuts.
regularly
Okay.
in Springbok jersey will be Wilco Louw. And that will be my reasoning for that is prolonging, making sure we get France to the next World Cup.
No, but you can't prolong this career because Wilco Louw must also. Why you helping France? You must help Wilco too to get to.
But
the
he's
World Cup.
starting. So he will get to the next World Cup.
Yes, but it mustn't be to help France. It must be both of them to
France
be
must help
My
himself.
reason,
a number 1 and number 2. They must
my
be
reason for that, why I say Wilco starting, because if France starts most of the test, it's Vincent Koch. He will be 38 at the next World Cup. Trevi obviously injured currently. How tight that prop stock is kind of thin at the current moment. Wilco Louw's form for the Bulls, the way he scrummaged against the Stormers and the rest of the URC, so he deserves to start more test matches as well. So that is why my bold prediction is Wilco Louw will be the one guy that will start a little bit more tests this year.
For me personally, I think let's look at 15 at the moment. Fassi injured. Will he be ready? Willie,
That's a question.
is Willie, yes, Willie will play 1 or 2 tests to get to 100 and stuff, but maybe get Q an opportunity. He's been brilliant when it comes to the URC. But my spanner in the works has always been looking at, we spoke about the 6-2 split and the 7-1 split. For me, it's JC Pretorius, and you've heard this before. Why reason? Copy and paste with Kwagga Smith. Someone's got to fix that role when it comes to Kwagga Smith. Kwagga Smith has been unbelievable for us. Coming off the bench, 7-1 split works. 6-2 split
That's
works.
my only problem is when I played for the Boks, everybody tried to replace for you.
Yep.
It's impossible
I like
to
that.
replace someone like that.
Yeah, so
Kwagga
that's
is
my
a special rugby
You
player.
can
and-
replace
and we know.
you
No.
Kwagga can't even replace himself. To be quite honest with you, if Kwagga comes from the bench, he's at this level. If Kwagga starts, he's at this level, and we're not happy with Kwagga being Kwagga. Now you want JC Pretorius, and by all means I know he's got talent and stuff.
He's got
He's
everything.
only going to get to this. You're not happy with Kwagga at this level. How can we be happy with JC at this level? There is no Kwagga. If
But the
Kwagga's
recipe
gone,
to win Rugby World
that's
Cups, the
endangered
recipe is
species.
you
We
need
put
to-
him in the museum, he's gone.
Don't go and search for another Kwagga. That's my point.
Now, I really think Jason Pretorius has the ability when it comes to stealing the ball, around an engine, physicality, speed.
No,
He basically...
So this is my spanner in that works for that spanner. So let's say the rest of the world also goes to 7-1. And they nullify that.
They've done it. Look at France.
No, but I'm saying we haven't played against that team that's
Yes.
done the same thing.
Yes.
So let's say we get a team that does the same
7.
thing, that nullifies that injection, we get the second half. Is a
They also come
smaller,
up.
is
But
a
you
smaller
gotta
look for
fight.
the answer in 2 years' time.
And I promise you, we're going to see this in, I think it's the 8th November against France. It will be
Yeah.
7-1 split
Yes.
against 7-1 split. Come on. It's going to happen. So Anthony Jalons that's coming up, they're Kwagga and the other loose forward as well. They those boys that can fix in. They almost had a problem against Ireland when Dupont got injured, but Rassi got injured at number 13, and who had to play one of the loose forwards. What if it happens with us? We love a 7-1 split. We were successful with it.
I
But
don't
again,
disagree with the loose forward part. I'm just saying not finding a loose forward that we want to replace Kwagga with.
But
Because the launch is not Kwagga. Zalons that comes off the bench for
It's not-
France
and
is
they
not
play
a Kwagga
different.
type.
And they play different because they kick long. We kick contestables. We make it messy. So we also want a winger to contest. Now you got to loose forward to contesting. His timing is out. So we play differently. They play up in the middle. Yes, the guy in the wide channel will get the ball, but they kick long. They don't. That wing doesn't work as our wings are working, or that loose forward doesn't work. So I think there's the only difference that I'm thinking where they took this method and they're a little bit better than us.
Those are the players that we want to see. Anyone from your
Players
side?
playing, I would think at 9, seeing Grant more playing, starting a bit more. In that time, I would like to see Cameron Anderkom, just to see who's after Sia is a 6. He can play 6, 7, and 8. So that's also that loose forward combination. He's dynamic. He brings it different. It almost brings like a little bit of PSP's vibes that we don't have. We have Jasper there, is quite physical, but also just to bring a balance to that loose forwards. Because if Pity is there, Pity can run and Pity is there. But who's going to bring that little bit of injection or difference, point of difference in that?
I've learned the word this week in corporate, guys, unique selling point.
That's it. Your party trick. That's that.
Party. Boys, predictions. We have 15 tests or 14 test matches, 15 games for the Springboks. Maybe it's obviously all up in the air. How many of those will the Springboks win this year? Bold predictions.
I think the one in New Zealand will be tough. That first one. That they defending their lives.
Eden Park.
Eden Park is going to be tough.
I think Rassi's going to throw all kitchen sink in that one.
That's a 50-50 in the French one. But I think the others... And
I agree.
Will Farrell be back by the end of the year?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe I'm not... Maybe they pick themselves up when Farrell's there. But I can't see anyone else. Australia coming here.
Yeah, Australia will be tired
No, I
after the
don't.
British Airlines too.
Yeah.
Coming here.
That's a big two.
No, but they're going to give everything in the British Airlines too. When they get there, they're going to be tired. So it's going to
So
be...
I think those two tests we will struggle a bit. No, struggle. We'll be tight, but I don't think unless Argentina is always a tricky one. And
So we're going 12 out of 14.
Yeah, I think 12 out of 14.
12 out of 14, that's a good one.
I'm also there. 12 out of 14, yeah. There's
I won't say we won't win the two. I'm just doubt that's the two where I'm thinking. But I'm definitely going. Anything less than 12 out of 14 is
a success.
a sackable offense. No, I'm joking.
That is a tough one. I really think there's going to be couple of close games, and I mean it's fine if you get 12 out of 14 for me, and I will go with 12 out of 14. I mean those games are going to be tough when it comes to Eden Park, and especially.
Now, what do you think about that one?
Eh?
What do you honestly think about that Eden Park?
What's going to happen there? That is a tough one, guys. You got to give me time to think about that one. Eh? And you? I was not backing the South African.
No, for sure.
But I mean, you got New Zealand that's going to give everything in that game. A record, 50 tests unbeaten. Their years of everything they do have when it comes to the history of it. South Africa, Rassie is going to give everything. If he has to go 8-0 split, he's going to do it to win that game. Because that is the only one. You've won 2 World Cups. Yes. What do you want to brag about? You want to brag about Eden Park?
That's the only test that I've got doubt about.
Francis?
The Francis,
Ooh,
no. Not no, but I believe Paris, we have won big test matches in Paris as the Springboks. The fact that we didn't play in New Zealand last year, also, but we don't play Super Rugby under those conditions anymore.
But if you say we won them, did we win them, or I won't say we were lucky, because
convincingly.
I was thinking about this the other day again. If we say now, okay, Jack, I think he's a great coach, and I'm actually happy that he's at Leinster now, because we for a long while
happy.
we
want him back.
Not happy, but for a long while there was a
he needed
talk.
That break.
There was a talk
away.
in the change room that he can only coach with Rassie and that, and he's a brilliant coach, and I'm actually glad that Leinster is performing
as a head coach as well.
As a head coach, and I think he should, after this coach island, and I think he will do good, or he should just go that path.
Yeah, even though he was in South Africa, he was still, there was still a double co-role.
Yeah. But I think he's a brilliant rugby coach and a rugby brain. But I was thinking the other day, if you look at the quarterfinal, the semi-final, and the final, if we have lost the quarterfinal, we would have said that whole campaign was a failure. Now we say that whole campaign was a success. Yes, we won, but did we beat France in the last 2 years when we played them convincingly at home? Or was it always 1-2? That's why I'm worried about that one. The same with the All Blacks. We beat them in the World Cup by 1 point. Yes, we smashed them after they didn't win, I won't say match first, but the first time we did the 7-1 split. But again at home, it was tight.
Yeah.
So that's the 2
4.6
games where I'm
points.
like, if they score a try, if Damon McKenzie kicked that kick, we say, oh, we lost against the All Blacks. So that's why it's still like in the balance for me that we haven't beaten them yet. Like apart from the warm-up game against the World Cup. And the same with the Frenches. And so that's my concern.
Huh? We can't wait 3 months every time to cut it to the bone. Huh?
We need more
absolutely loving
ask the broadcaster to give more money to have more competitions. Then we can have a
But
little
let's quickly go through the competitions. Obviously, it's fixtures for URC as well. And I mean, the Ticket Pro, get your tickets, guys, at Ticket Pro. Okay, there's some new stuff coming. There's a new system coming out as well when you can have your tickets on your Apple Watch and stuff like that. But games this weekend, we're going to start with Friday, Cardiff versus Lions at 25 minutes to 10. Saturday, we got 3 matches, Sharks versus Zebre, Bulls versus Leinster, which is a tough one, and then Scarlet versus Stormers. Quick overview on
Look, for me, the biggest threat in the URC will be the team from the Cape Town, Stormers. Getting their superstars back. Shasha's back, Willem is back, when Mani's back, that will be a massive threat. Dion Forey fit and ready to play. So for me, the Stormers, critical tour. And once they come back, I wouldn't want to play them.
100%, and they've got 4 games at home. They've got obviously Scarlets and Ulster away now. If they can get just 8 points or 7 points from that tour, coming back against, Connacht and a few of the other boys that can get easy points. Cardiff
And the Stormers is a team that always stays in the game. If you watch the game against the Bulls, if you watch all the games, they're never out of it unless they have a really bad day. But 80% of the games, it's up until the last 10 minutes they're still in the game, and that's play of rugby. That's basically what the Springboks are doing. They stay in the game as long as possible, and then when the opportunity comes, they bounce.
Loftus wat rof is en hom beskof is. Hy sit in the Leila episode, okay? Bull supporter. Was he right? What?
Say again?
Bulls? What no?
Hey, sir, that wasn't in the script to ask that question.
You
didn't brief me. You didn't brief me. You didn't brief me.
I check with him because he sit in Leila. I said no.
Bulls? I think Bulls will beat Leinster, but I am there's something in my tummy. I've got a feeling, and there is
you're not positive,
sitting.
huh?
No, I'm positive about our team. But for me, the flyer of conundrum there is at Loftus. Do we leave Villiers in? With our Chamberlain Goose? Who's going to steer the ship?
Did you scrap this season waiting for Pollard next season?
No, not scrapping seasons.
He wants Pollard in 10. Huh?
But I also think it's a bit of I've been in the camp. It's a little bit of leadership. And I won't say leadership problem because you can see the coaching is there, everything is in there, all the parts are there. But there's a certain part of the game where you 28-5 up or whatever, and you have to just put in the knife and turn it. And it seems like the leadership or whoever's the game drivers, they don't turn the knife. And then come in, then the knife comes out and then the other team is alive again.
They hit,
so
but they don't block.
It's just that part because they're playing brilliant rugby. They up there, they physical, they scrum like demons. But then again, like when they have to put in the knife and turn it, they don't do that. That's concerning.
Is it defense or is it leadership?
I think it's leadership.
Is it leadership?
I honestly think.
Because
I don't think
you said the defense.
I'm not happy with the defense. I think we leak tries at critical stages in the game. But that's
mindset because it's almost like one for you, one for me, one for you, one for you. Where you just feel like if you look at Victor them and back in the days, if they get you, they squeeze you. Even if it's 3, they get it, they take 3 morning kicks. You give away a penalty. All the guys come around the corner. Bakkies comes, Gato comes. They just keep that pressure on you, and they don't let go. And it just feels like at some certain times, 2 quick tries, and then you're like, okay, that's enough. Oh, we're behind again. We should play again.
So, can the Bulls, obviously, 2 questions for both of you. Can they win this weekend coming against Leinster that hasn't lost a game? RG Schneemann coming to Loftus. Okay.
Yes, they can.
And sitting at third in the competition, can they win the competition?
I think they can once they sort out that in terms of, because sometimes the Bulls are unbelievable. Then the leadership is there and then they click and then there's time to just go off the map. So hopefully they stay on map, and I think they've got all the players, they've got the system, they've got everything to win the competition. It's just that part, and so it's glimpses in, and it is literally It's like you drive on the N1 and you drive all the way to Beaufort West away. And just before you get to Beaufort West, you lose concentration and you go off-road. It just seems like that. Yeah, or Kudu. And it just seems like, and then after that you can't recover because your car is in the slot.
It happened twice last year against Glasgow. And then Glasgow beat us in the finals. So it's a problem that has been there.
So Leinster's Bulls?
I'm going to go Bulls.
Yeah, Bulls over here?
Bulls, yeah.
I'm going to go Leinster. Scarlet Stormers?
Stormers.
Stormers?
Yeah.
Stormers over here. Cardiff
Lions.
Way away or though?
They're playing away.
Cardiff is in form now.
Is they in form?
And they're playing that artificial pitch.
I want to say... I'm going to back the Lions.
Say to the chest.
Cardiff is looking pretty at the lock. They are very good, but I'm going to back the Lions. They need it.
Coaches say kop geskit na die Wales game.
Yeah, we need top
coaches.
Top 8 for the Lions, man. Everyone in the Western Championship, yeah. And then Sharks, Zebra. No, easy one.
Yeah, Sharks.
Should we say it's Sharkies?
Yeah.
The Sharks is actually on a good road. They play some youngsters, some low. The Springboks are not playing, and they're actually getting performances and getting results. I think they are on a little bit of an upwards trajectory. But we'll see when it comes now to the business end of the season, what's happening.
Now, cracker games coming up, and Loftus is gonna heat up, especially with Leinster as well.
And especially while we're talking about Loftus Ruckus, this is another thing we want to make sure that you guys get really excited about. Okay, one of our associate sponsors, Bright Rock, obviously the winners will shortly be announced for the sweet experience at Loftus Veersveld for the 29th of March for the Vodacom Bulls game, but also today, Parry.
Yeah, another one.
Exciting.
At the DHL Stormers, DHL Stadium as well.
Can
okay.
I come?
Huh?
Can I go come?
You gotta enter, okay?
No, partner, I've had a light bulb moment. Okay? I'm going to announce this. I'm going to get into big trouble. On this 26th of April, Bright Rock with Behind the Ruck will be hosting another sweet experience for the DHL Stormers versus Benetton Treviso, and our friend of the show will be joining us in the suite.
My wife, I didn't say that. He said it.
And Bright Rock, don't CC me in this email, okay? That you're sending as well. But we'll see. It's gonna happen. That will be a lekker one, actually.
I dropped it.
Yeah.
The Power Rangers gotta be.
I'm in his boat.
I'm not worried about Bright Rock. I'm worried about my wife.
As well. She was boys. We could sit here and talk for hours, my man. And it was an incredible episode. We cut it to the bone. We had some good discussions. Episode 88. Incredible, guys. And you guys know Behind the Ruck is supported by SuperSport Bet, the one and only SuperSport Bet. Guys, if you don't have the app at the moment, go get it now. Switch to SuperSport Bet. Get your skin in the game, okay? Download the app and log in and do your thing, okay? And also Ticket Pro, that's changing it up a little bit. New systems coming in. We get more information coming through as well.
Quickly, shortly, one of my favorite episodes.
I love it. I love to cut
this one now. I really enjoyed it, and I want to say thank you to you too.
Ja, bietjie nou dan so 'n bietjie. Ja, ek het 'n gym sessie in.
Jou spak. Gio,
incredible.
Thank you, meneer.
Thank you very much.
When I come here, I always think, did I do a good job the last time, or am I just cheap labor?
No.
So I think it's the first one.
He's here, guys. The Ruckus loves you. The Ruckus wants you back.
Thank you, Ruckus.
Yeah, but 3 months, I think 3 months is a bit sometimes too long.
Way too
but
long.
as long as you can control with the numbers at work.
That's important because there's some people that jump for free at my work and eat for free.
Guys,
edit to cut these things.
Guys, hou die benen goed.
And be in control.
In die kamer.
Be in control, because these rugby players, Rocky Elsom, that's...
Seatbelt. Ruckus, I'm Rudy Page.
I'm Juan de Jong.
I'm Gio Aplon.
And the Ruck is clear. Bye-bye.
Next week, guys.